All right, so y'all, I was thinking just a couple minutes ago about this. If there is no God or there is no higher power, and when we die, we're dead, sooner or later, we will all be forgotten here. Every single one of us will be forgotten eventually here. But I can't lie to myself. There's something about people that are remembered from a very long time ago that I resonate with a lot. And I want to do something while I'm here. I want to be remembered for something here. And I will be remembered. See, this is what I'm telling myself. Even if it doesn't happen, even if a whole bunch of people don't know who I am or what I do or the things I do, then it's still okay because I know that there's nothing I can do to stop the inevitable. And I won't lie, I'm scared of death. I'm kind of terrified of death. I don't want to die. I want there to be something else here. I really do want there to be something else. And I know a lot of people, they tell themselves, there is nothing else. This is it. And to me, that just, even if I would know that this is it, I'm still going to do what I can here. But knowing that there might not be anything else, or there might not be some higher power that put this together, I can't lie, it's a bit depressing. But then on the other hand, when I'm gone, I won't even know that I'm gone. I won't even know that I left the world, you know? But while I'm here, it's just a very weird thing. I want to leave a mark while I'm here because people are not going to stop coming into this world. People are not everybody is going to stop having kids. It's just not going to happen. You know, more than likely, I'm pretty damn sure that I'm never going to have kids. I can't see how that would happen. I don't see it happening, but see, it's really weird with me. I am, because I am here. This is why I say this. I am pro-life and I am, let's think about death. Let's know that we will die. You know, there's a saying, die before you die. And that's what I feel like I have done the last, I don't know how long, 6, 7 years, maybe it's been longer. I don't know the exact date, but I almost feel like I died before I'm gonna die. I feel like I've already died not a physical death, but I already feel like I'm dead to so many things in this world. And the way that I think about stuff is I do a lot of the same things that people do. I talk about a lot of the same things that people talk about. And I have to do a lot of the things that people do because I have to survive like other people. But, you know, I can't sit here and say, you know, time is precious to me. I think that this bit of life, I think it is, like I said, a gift and a curse. And I think we need both things. I don't think that we can really understand this if there isn't a gift and a curse. You know, if there isn't up and down, left, right, hot, cold. You know, if you don't have that yin yang, bad is bad and good is good. evil is evil and righteous is righteous. I mean, that's just how things are. I can't change those facts, you know, and I have a lot of questions about things that there's no justifying the way that things are, and that's a scary concept too. You know, I'm not in denial here of these things, but sitting and thinking about a lot of this stuff, it's an absolute waste of time when you thought about it so much before and it never did anything to help you through the time going through this life. And we're really not going through this life. There really is no time. It's just, we're here now. Our bodies are, we're losing cells. We're losing skin cells. The blood in our bodies constantly flowing. You know, everything is just, it's just movement. That's all time is movement. That's all it is. And that's why I'm so into the arts. That's why I'm so into doing something while I'm here. That's why I'm so into making the best out of it while I can. Because when you're stagnant, it's almost like there's times to be stagnant. But most of the time being stagnant is like you're dead. Because the longer you sit, it's the saying, a body in motion stays in motion. And a body at rest stays in rest. And when you're resting too long, you feel like shit. You start getting unhealthy. You start gaining weight. You start getting depressed because you're not exercising. And it's I got to this point where I said, enough is enough is enough. And I was sick and tired of being sick and tired times a million with the way that I was living, the things that I was telling myself, the way that I was thinking about things. I just can't do certain things anymore. I cannot allow myself to go into those places anymore because I've been there so many times, and I don't know why I was telling myself some of the things that I was saying. It's almost like I forced myself to get into that predicament, and even though it sucked going through for me to realize a bunch of things and for me to think differently, I forced myself to do that. You see, there's not a lot of people that are going to force themselves to die before they die. There's not a lot of people that are going to force themselves to go against the grain of what makes them do what they do, or like the things they do in life. I went completely against the grain because the way that I was being, it's really weird. That's really not me. That's really not for me to be so depressed and to isolate all the time, even though I have become to cherish solitude. I have come to accept the fact that I will be alone. And I am so glad that I went through that stage. And if I can do anything on this video, if I can transfer some of my energy, but yet again, I know that when I say things like this, nobody can expect anything from me. I'm just saying this because this is what I would want for myself if somebody had this kind of energy. All that I can hope, all that I can literally say is that I hope that some of my energy will transfer into another person's mind, and the way that they think about things, they will always think of change. They will always think, okay, I'm doing this to myself, so what do I have to do to get out of this monotonous insanity that I'm doing to myself. Even though we know that life comes with its monotonous insanity. You see, there's always the contradictions that are going to be there in our lives. There's no way that we cannot be hypocrites here. There's just no way that you cannot be a hypocrite. This is why I say for myself, calling myself out all the time, it was the best thing I ever did. It was the best thing I did to call my own bullshit, was to be absolutely brutally honest with people and actually tell others what was going on in here with, you know, my God consciousness, with my life, with my drug addiction, with a whole bunch of things, you know, just everything that I can think of. Now, there is some things that there's no need for me to say to other people. You know, you just don't tell everybody everything. I mean, there's no reason to do that. It's the things that, like secrets. Secrets keep us sick. But there's a lot of people that they've done stuff in their life and they may still have a secret or be holding on to a secret that they did a long time ago, and it's eating them up. And I'm telling you, you have to confront these things no matter how bad it is. There was things that I had to confront with people, and let me tell you something. I never thought that I would do it. I never in a million years thought that I would do it. But I know that it was killing me. It was a burden on my shoulders. It was more than 1,000-pound gorilla. It was like I was carrying around the world on my shoulders, literally. And I'm not going to say the things what they are, but I came clean with some things with people. I asked for forgiveness for some people. I said, look, this is what I did, or just everything that I could think to do, I did, and I made retribution for things that I felt guilty for, that I felt ashamed of, even if nobody needed to know about it. It was killing me. It was hurting me. It was keeping me down. It was destroying my life. It was keeping me sick. So I had to do something about it, and I did something about it. And even though I remember a lot of the things in my life, I don't feel guilty and ashamed anymore, but I still remember it. It's there. It's there in my mind somewhere, and I don't want to forget it. I don't want to forget it. I really don't. Because lest you forget, you're doomed to repeat things if you forget things. So that's why it's going to take some time for people that have to kind of break themselves down or go through this shedding of the snake skin, like I was talking about in my older videos. Constantly shedding the snake skin. And that comes with being honest with yourself. That comes with letting go of your secrets. Even if you have to embarrass yourself or you have to do whatever to get it off your chest. I'm telling you, when you do these things, I know when I did them, it was the hardest thing I ever did. But when I did it, it's a pressure that I can't describe that left me. And it's not even really the fact of what I did to other people. It was what I was doing to myself. You see, I had to make amends with myself. And that was one of the hardest things I have ever done. Besides what I was just talking about with secrets and keeping things hidden and, you know, holding on to this pride thing that we all have. And we don't realize this is what keeps us in bondage. This is what is keeping us slaves to the world and ourselves, is this whole pride and ego and I'm better than, or I have to do better than everyone, and I'm comparing myself to everyone, and I have to look a certain way. And instead of, I wrote it down in my book here, showcasing over impressing, being authentic over showing off, getting it done over fucking around. So this whole thing with impressing people, see me, I'm a person, I like showcasing what I've been through, what's on my mind, the way that I think, things I did in my life, things that I'm doing in my life. I like showcasing things. People would see it as showing off, though, or trying to impress people. That's not why I do what I do. I like to reflect on myself, and I like to give others what I'm doing for myself and reflecting onto myself, because who knows what it'll do. I have no idea what it'll do. This is blind faith to me. If there's a such thing as faith, this is blind faith. I'm just pressing the record button. And there's some people, I'm not saying that you have to record yourself. I'm not saying that you got to do videos on YouTube. I'm not saying that you have to do any of that stuff. But there's some people that they might not even be to where they can even press a record button and record themselves, because they don't look in the mirror at themselves. They haven't even really took the time to observe what is going on in their inner self, in their being, in their mind. And it doesn't make anybody better or worse. It's just the people that are not doing that for themselves. See, these are the people that don't understand things and don't understand themselves. And see, this scares me in another person, because if someone has never took an honest look at themselves in the mirror, or has admitted that they did some wrong stuff, or they're capable of doing horrible things, or I have been a hypocrite in my life. If somebody's not willing to say them kind of things, then I know that they are a person that is holding on to shit internally, and they're keeping it in them, and they're not allowing themselves to express themselves. This is why expression is so important to someone like me, because there was a time not too long ago where I was holding everything in. I did not have an outlet. I did not have a phone to record on. I had a little drum machine that I bought, and I was making a bunch of beats on that, but that wasn't enough for me. And I didn't have no computer. I wasn't into writing because I was in my drug addiction and stuff. And I went through a really, really, really horrible time in life. I was suicidal. I wanted to die. I didn't care about my health. I just was bitter. I was angry. I was everything that you can think of, that if you are a person that lets yourself go and you don't care about yourself at all, I was that guy. I was that guy. And let me tell you, when I get bad, when I get miserable, when I get moody, I am really bad. I am a prick. It gets really nasty. And I can be a really nasty guy. And like I said, when I was younger, I used to be very cruel. I used to be very cruel. And I am absolutely ashamed for some of the shit that I did. You know, I did some really horrible shit, man. Really, really bad shit. And I was going to say what I did. I think I said something in another video. I'm not going to say the things I did, but I know what I did. I know what I did. And I did things that there is no justifying what I did. And I deserve. Now, I know this is going to sound crazy to people, but I deserve everything that I have suffered with, every pain that I have had, every misery that I have went through, every unhealthy time, every time I was sick or strung out on drugs. I deserved that. I deserved that shit. And a lot of people won't understand this, but I'm just going to put it out there like this. Did anyone ever step on a bunch of ants before? Did anybody ever shoot a bird out of a tree? Did anybody kill a squirrel? Did anybody throw your brother down the steps? Did anybody ever do something violent towards something that they did when they were younger and it just passed their mind? And they're like, oh, well, it was just an animal. You know, it was just a stupid little animal that don't know no better. No, it was something that feels. It was something that died horribly, you know, with a lot of people. And why am I saying this? Because I did things where I know that I can't justify what I did. And that's why I say I deserve, and I think that I got this thing, like they say, you get tenfold what you do. And I know this is even going to sound crazy. I even prayed to God. If there's a God, I prayed to God. I said, if I have to pay for what I did myself, two other things in this life, to come to amends, to get me back to my innocence or my natural being without having some kind of corruption in me or something horrible in my soul, my very essence of a person, my very energy that makes me me. If I have to pay for it in this life, then let that happen. And when I prayed this, I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing here? Because it's like, I'm horrified. I'm absolutely horrified because I know if I got done to me what I did in my life, it's a scary thing. It's a really scary thing. And I'm a coward. I am a coward for how I was when I was younger. But see, even though that was me when I was younger, that is not me now. That is not the me now. And see, listen, I can't lie to people. I have to be honest here. I cannot lie. This is why I resonate with the gospel so much. Because the gospel, it actually was the thing that made me weep for the things I did, and it changed me. It changed my thinking. It convicted me of things I did, and I needed that at one time. And if it wasn't for the gospel, if it wasn't for me being convicted for stuff, if it wasn't for the sacrifice of Jesus Christ and the words that he said, I might have, who knows, I might have turned into a serial killer. I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know. because I had probably some of those traits. You know, I was like a full-blown narcissistic, cruel kid when I was younger. I mean, there was a side of me that was like that. I'm not saying I was like that all the time. I'm saying there was a side of me that I would turn into it, like Jekyll and Hyde. I would literally turn. Now, I don't know which one's the bad one, Jekyll or Hyde. I think Jekyll's the bad, Dr. Hyde, Dr. Jekyll. I forget if Hyde's the bad one. Well, anyway, I'll say Dr. Hyde because I was hiding these things and I was doing some things and I didn't care. I didn't care. There was no restraints over me and I lost. See, here's what I'm trying to tell us here. There is a thing where you lose your innocence. I felt that. I felt that feeling. I felt that feeling. When I did whatever I did, I remember when I did something I did, I remember there was a truck coming down the road and I could hear it, and I was behind this tree and I could hear this truck coming down the road, and I could have swore that this truck knew what I did and knew I was behind these trees and they were going to catch me. And I had this feeling come over me where my blood ran cold. It literally ran cold. I remember this. I was like 9, 10 years old, 8, 9, 10 years old. I forget what I was, but I remember the day that my innocence was lost. I remember the day that I shed blood with something and my innocence was lost forever. And I felt it and I knew it. And here's what's really weird. When this happened, I knew that I was wrong then and there. But see, it still slipped my mind. I still didn't repent for what I did. I was crying for what I did, though. This is the weird thing. I said something to my mom, and I started crying about it. And I don't know why I'm telling people this, but, you know, I think we all need to hear stuff like this because I know that the most evil people in this world are kids, are children. Now, don't get it twisted. Children are not innocent things. They do things to lose their innocence. They're born innocent, but they do these things that they don't know better, or their mothers or fathers haven't said, look, when you do that, you're going to do this. You know, you explain it to them. Some parents don't do that, and they never have. And see, my mom I lived with her and my dad wasn't around. So my mom, she wouldn't tell me this kind of stuff. She let me do what I do. You know, she didn't really bother me too much. So I had the right. I had the freedom to do what I kind of wanted to do. She let me move around on my own. She let me go places when I was younger. You know, she let me go. She let me go do what I did. And with having too much freedom, that was not a good thing. That was actually a bad thing. That actually allowed me to do some dumb, stupid, cruel shit in my life that I did when I was younger. And like I said, all the things that has happened to me, I deserved it. I took it on the head. I said, you know what? Remember what you did with certain things. So you deserve this, Nate. And you know you do. Now, some people would think I'm one of these guys that have a whip in my hand, like back in the 1500s or ever with the bubonic plague, and they're whipping their back, carrying a cross, and, oh, Lord, forgive me, and they're whipping their back. Well, I had that happen without me whipping my back. I just had it happen in life. I went through my own kind of hell here on earth. And I'm glad that I went through it. I'm glad that I went through it. And I know there's a lot of people in this world, they don't think of the consequences of things that they may do or they're going to do. And that is a very scary thought, because I know that there's some people that they are not under the restraints of themselves. They're out of control, and they're going to do some horrible things to living things, living people, feely things. And it's a very scary thought, knowing that what people are capable of here. But I have learned my lesson, and I have learned my lesson in a way that I really can't explain to people. I really can't explain it to people. It's a very, very, very weird thing that I think very few people go through, because I don't really hear anybody else talking about these kinds of things. I don't hear any other YouTubers talking about this kind of stuff. I don't hear anybody in my family or people that I hung with. I never heard anybody say some of the things that I say. And that's why I know, even though I did some bad shit, I did some shit that I'm ashamed of and was guilty of, and I always remember. But I am a unique person. Even though the bad, you know, I'm still a very unique person. And I know I'm a unique person. And if we can only be willing to expose ourselves, and when I say exposure, see, people take this maybe in a wrong or a different kind of way when I say exposing ourselves. What I mean is, you are willing to call yourself out. You're willing to take a look at what you have done in life. You're willing to look at every little detail so that you can understand yourself and you can understand others, and you can understand why it is that you do the things that you do, why you say the things you say, why you act the way you act. But see, some people cover this up with their pride, with their ego, with their sense of I am special, I am better than, my shit don't stink. I'm comparing myself all the time. And see, these are the people that are scary people, because they are the gullible people. They are the ignorant people. They are the people that don't understand things for themselves. So therefore, they are capable of many different things, because they're not in control of this side of themselves, because we all have this side. Whether we want to admit it or not, we all have the yin-yang in us. It's just there, and that's what it is. And I'm not in denial of that. I know what it is. Like I said, I have looked these demons in the face, and they were my own demons, my own metaphorical demons. And let me tell you something. It's not an easy thing. It's hard. It's scary. It's horrifying. See, people always want to sugarcoat stuff for people. The people that sugarcoat stuff, those are the ones that are going to enable you and I to keep doing the bullshit we do, to keep getting into the trouble we get into, to keep leading into the corruption, to keep getting involved with the gossip and the, you know, just everything that is not good for us. Someone that doesn't understand themselves, and someone that has never reflected this kind of stuff, it's almost like, even though you want the best for them and you want them to, you know things for themselves, and you kind of want to maybe teach them in a way, but then you're like, well, if I say something to them and they don't understand what I mean, then they're going to take it out on me. You know, if I say something where they get upset by something I said because I actually care for my life, and what I'm telling them is so that they can care for their own life. If they don't understand it, or they think that I'm somehow telling them this because I think I'm better, or I'm telling it to offend them and all this stuff. See, when you know things, when you have a full-blown knowledge of this world, yourself, and other people, places, and things, you cannot get offended. It's impossible to get offended once you understand everything. Because when somebody says something to you, you realize you've already been there. You've already heard it. You know people are going to say these kinds of things. You know, ignorant people that don't know any better are going to say this kind of stuff. So it shouldn't be a surprise. If you can be surprised or you can be offended, then that means that you need to check yourself. If any of us can be offended, or we can be persuaded or wowed, oh, wow, what is that? Like, that means that you don't know for yourself. That means that you're gullible to be led by anything. And that's where the danger lies. That's where the bad predicaments take place. That's where the corruption leads, is because people don't have the discernment to know when people are doing these kinds of things to them. You see, and someone like me that calls this stuff out because I care for myself and I care for my life and I want the best for me like I do other people. See, the people that don't know any better with those things, they're going to take it one of two ways. And see, that's where you just never know. You know, you never know. But it's like, what are our intentions and motives here? You see, if I would have any motive in this life, it would be for me to live my best life that I can, to be as healthy as I can, to make the right decision with things. And an intention, I don't really have intentions, you know. I don't think of life like that. I'm just doing what I do when I do it. I really don't have any intentions for anything. And see, there's still some of us that got in our heads, we have motives and intentions, and we have this mindset where we're thinking of how to get ahead, how to be better than someone else. What do I have to do to get the girl? And like all these different things in our mind. And people like that are just not understanding that this kind of thinking is only going to get us into some deep shit for ourselves. Most of the time. I'm not saying people don't have good intentions, or, you know, when they do something, they know better than to take it too far and all that. I'm not saying that. But for most people, see, we look at ignorance like it's some kind of thing to be shunned because we're going to have to put in work. And you know what? We are going to have to put in some mental gymnastics to understand these things. And we need to stop being so lazy about things. Because, see, when we don't understand stuff, this is when everything goes awry. This is when we start having so many problems in our life. This is how everything comes, is from a lack of knowledge, a lack of understanding. And a lot of people don't want to hear that because they don't want to do anything about it. And I just don't understand why people do not want to live their best life while they're here. Like, why do we keep playing the victim mentality? Why do we keep downing ourselves? Why do we keep hating ourselves and looking down upon ourselves and saying we can't do anything? and everything sucks and it's just always going to be bad. I couldn't think like that for myself anymore. That is just absolute insanity for me because it's not healthy either. You see, maybe if my health wouldn't have got bad from this, who knows? Maybe I would have stayed in that certain place or them places that I was in. And I am not saying when I say there's nothing wrong with sadness sometimes, but there's something wrong with depression. There's nothing wrong with joy and solitude and peace and clarity. There's something wrong when you are attempting to be happier than everyone. You're attempting to look like you got your shit together with everybody so that everybody can, you can look a certain way. Like you can look like you're better than them. See, there's always a limit that you just know for yourself not to take it, or when to do something, when not to do it, when you're doing too much or not enough. It's just always this thing that I got to remind myself to remain neutral, but still take a look at and observe both sides of me and all of my personalities, keeping them in check for myself. Because if I don't keep them in check, nobody else is going to keep them in check. And if nobody else is keeping my personality and things I think and the way I live in check, then that can become something that none of us want for ourselves. You see? And this all has to do with, we got to look at other people too like they're us, even though they're not us. Look at other people like, that's me, but they just think a little different. They act different. They talk different. They eat different things. They live differently, but that's me. See, every person that I see, I know they're a reflection of me, but see, I am not trying to be them because I know they have to be themselves, but I still respect them. Even though I may not like most people, even though I like being by myself, even though I can't stand a lot of what people do to themselves, the way they think for themselves, I still respect people. I still look at them like, okay, well, what if I was looking at myself? And see, most people can't look at people like that. They just look at it like, it's that other guy. It's that other girl that I'm looking at. Oh, look at them. Yeah, what's he doing? See, I don't have that kind of mindset for people. I don't have that hate in my heart. I don't have that envy in my heart. I don't have that. I don't think that way about people. And I never could think that way about people. The only time I thought that way about people is when they weren't checking themselves and they were doing something stupid or they were doing something ignorant that they weren't supposed to be doing because they couldn't control themselves. And then I got a certain way because they did it to me. And I just can't remember any time where I felt that way about someone else. It was just never in me. And that's why I say in these videos, this is how autistic people are. They just can't hate anybody. They can't hold grudges for people. They have to forgive. They got to let stuff go. They have to be doing something to get things out all the time. And even though I might not look like something, and the reason I say that is because I have a lot of the traits of that. I'm not saying I'm diagnosing myself with anything because I don't know, but I'm just referencing it. I'm just using it as a metaphor to make it a similarity to what I mean here. So anyway, I don't know where I'm going with this video, but if we don't look within ourselves, we are going to keep going down the same path that we've been going down for a long time if we don't look within. We have got to look within ourselves. We have got to do this. Now, when I say we have got to do this, it isn't me forcing anything upon people. It's just the answers are in you. You don't have to go out looking for the answers in the world. Now, when you look at things and you project on things, of course, you look at things and observe them for yourself, but you're still reflecting everything that you're looking at, everything you're judging, everything you're pointing the finger at, everything you're blaming, everything that you think is the problem. We've got to look back at ourselves with it. We have to internalize with this thing. If we don't internalize, then we're never going to be here within ourselves. And if we're looking at this side, oh, I'm negative all the time. I hate people. I can't stand the world. I hate life. I want to die. Or I'm a goody two-shoes. I know what I'm talking about. You know, God got my back and not your back. God loves me and not you. And like that kind of stupid thinking that people have, like showing favoritism. Just all these things. If we keep only observing the one side and we're not reflecting and internalizing both sides back onto ourselves, then we're going to be out of alignment. We're going to, the pendulum is not going to swing the right way. It's going to be heavy on one side and light on the other side. You're going to be out of balance. These metaphors are so significant for our lives, but we look at it like it's corny. Like, oh, I already know that. And see, this is our problem. This is our problem. We can't let our pride down. We think we got to look cool. We think that if we're doing it a certain way that isn't pleasing to others, or we're not impressing other people with what we do, this is all a state of mind where we're never going to be here. We're never going to be centered within ourselves. We're never going to understand the essence of what makes us us, the energy that we are as people. And this ain't no, I don't label this as no spiritual teaching, or I don't even call myself a teacher or a philosopher. I just say that I understand things for myself. I understand myself and I understand other people, but I can't do anything for other people. Yet again, it's only me. And the moment that we can get that it starts with us and we have to start looking at number one. It has nothing to do with you're being selfish or self-centered or you're a narcissist and all this bullshit that people say. You are only ever going to have you in this life. You're going to live alone and you're going to die alone. Now, if you want to be around people and you have to be around people, that's fine. Do what you got to do. If you like crowds of people, then be in crowds of people. If you cherish other people, then go up to other people. Like, how are we lonely in the day of social media? How is anybody, I hear people saying they're lonely and they don't, they want people to be with or do things with. We are in the age of social media where you can literally, at the tip of your fingertips, you can message people. You can write to people. If you're someone like this, you can do all of these things. It's just we're being lazy. We won't do it. We're letting fear control us. And there's something that The president said, I think Teddy Roosevelt, I'm not sure, but he said the only thing to fear is fear itself. I mean, it is the most simple quote that there is. And I used to mock it and go, oh, there's only fear to fear is fear itself, you know, and all that. But it is like the root of most of our issues is we are in fear of things. And the only thing to fear is fear itself. Tyler, the Creator, asked this girl, well, what are you scared of? Why won't you do what you want to do? And she said, I don't know. And he said, well, there, you answered your own question. You don't even know what you're afraid of. You don't even know what you're scared of. You just answered the question right there. That's how crazy it is. We don't even know what we're scared of or in fear of. We're just in fear and scared. Don't you see? It's playing with us. It's playing with us. It's tricking you. Right now, your thoughts are tricking you. Right now, as I speak, our thoughts are tricking us. The fear is lying to us. It's not even there. There's no such thing as fear. We just think there's fear. That's all we're doing is thinking these things. And once you can control your thinking, and you can control your habits, and you can control who you are, and you can control your understanding of things, and you can control what you eat, and you can control things, and you can discern things for yourself, that is when you will have solitude in you as a person. Because you understand yourself, and you can rely on yourself, and you can come back to yourself. So that's all. That's all I want to resonate is my energy. You know, I'm not trying to impress people. I'm not trying to show off. I'm just showcasing my testimony of my life. And that's what I'm doing. I'm a living testimony every time I get on this camera. It's what I'm doing. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm going to be this way all the time. You know, one day I could act a little crazy. I don't know, but I know that I'm not going to do nothing to hurt anybody. I'm not going to act too stupid or crazy because I know how far to take things and how far not to take things. I know better. I have learned my lesson. It's like when you know, you know. You get this thing in you that you just know that you know that you know that you will never be the same. You will never do the same things. You will never act the same way because you've been there so many times and you know the consequences of these things. And you know you don't want to do that to yourself anymore. And it takes time for some people. It takes a long time. It took a very long time for me to get to this now that I'm at, you know? I know that I'm not getting anywhere. There's nowhere to go. I'm not heading anywhere. I'm right here, right now. And that's good enough for me. Right now is good enough for me. I don't want nothing else. And I want to end the video here. This video is way too long. But I want to ask everyone out there. People say that they're suffering. Suffering with what? What do we mean when we say we're suffering? Are you suffering physically? Are you suffering mentally? Are you suffering from the things that you're telling yourself? Are you suffering because someone in your family died? I mean, when we say suffering, what do we really mean when we say that? I mean, what are we really saying to ourselves? This is an excuse most of the time just to play the victim or to act like there's something wrong or to not have to confront things in your life. When we say we're suffering with things. Okay, well, if we're suffering mentally, then if you're suffering physically, then, you know, if you're having some kind of issue that is telling you that you're suffering, then Now, if you stay there, if anybody stays there, if any of us stays there, then that means that we are deciding to stay there. We're making a choice to revel in that. So if we keep complaining about that, that means that we are keeping ourselves there. Yet again, it's all a thinking thing. It's all a mind game. It's all a state of mind here. That's all it is. It's a state of mind. And most people don't want to own their state. If I'm Pennsylvania, I have to own Pennsylvania. If you're New York, you have to own New York. If you're Virginia and you don't want to own Virginia, then Virginia is going to be a shit show. Virginia is going to be a mess. Virginia is going to be doing all these crazy things because Virginia is not owning up to Virginia. So anyway, y'all, I went on long enough, but yeah, it just, in order for me to get across what I am going for to say to myself, really, it takes time. It takes time to do this. You know, it's like I said with the video, with the layer cake video. It isn't like I can just talk about the top layer of cake to make the world understand. I have to talk about the top layer, the middle layer, the layer under that, and then the bottom layer. You know, the chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, caramel. I have to talk about every single flavor. I can't just talk about chocolate and leave vanilla, strawberry, and caramel out. I can't just talk about caramel and leave strawberry, chocolate, and vanilla out. That doesn't make sense. That's why it takes me time to do these videos, to get what I'm going for to get across, so that we can resonate with it. And the energy we have unto ourselves is going to be our own energy. It's not going to be my energy, the energy that other people may get. The energy that you get, run with that for yourself. The energy I get, I'm running with it for myself. So whatever you get, run with it, because we don't have a lot of time here. We'll all be forgotten one day. Do you want to leave a legacy? Do you want to do something while you're here? Do you want to be remembered for a little while? Do you want to make a change on this earth? We all talk about how the earth is messed up, and there's all this crazy shit going on, and nobody cares, and everybody's destroying the planet, and people are doing all these bad things, and there's all this corruption. Well, what are you and I doing about it while we're here? What are we doing? What are we doing? It's time to start taking responsibility for ourselves here. You know, we're here, and there's nothing that we can do. We cannot break free from the confinements of the atmosphere that we're in. We're here. So what are we doing for here for ourselves? That's all that it comes down to, and that's all that matters. Nothing else matters. All this other crap that goes in our thoughts, and all this other crap politicians and the news and celebrities are doing, none of that shit matters. That is all, that should just be extracurricular stuff that people look at in their spare time and keep it to themselves. This is not what we should be discussing amongst each other. You know, it's like, let's build something. Let's plant a garden. Let's build house. Let's create. Let's do some kind of art. Let's find a craft for ourselves while we're here. Because that's where we're going to find our solitude. We're not going to find solitude out in the world. The solitude is right here. The craft is right here. The art is right here. So anyway, take care. Thanks for the support. Later on, y'all.